Hey, so we all know that Elon Musk has been, in a hilarious fashion, just crashing the website known as Twitter in down to earth in just like a glorious ball of flames, right? Um, I mean, he's basically been Nazi posting. He's been conspiracy mongering. Like just the other day, he posted this meme: "Pizzagate is real. No, it isn't. We have experts. They traffic children, but we have experts. Your expert just went to jail for child porn," which is predicated on a news story that isn't even like the expert that debunked Pizzagate. Uh, isn't an expert who debunked Pizzagate. Like you don't even need an expert to debunk Pizzagate. You just need to look at like the blueprints of ping pong of the Comet Ping Pong Pizza Parlor. You can like go to Comet Ping Pong and like see for yourself they don't have a basement. In fact, that's what one guy with a gun did like 10 years ago. And then he shot up the pizza parlor and found it did not, in fact, have a secret child trafficking basement. And then he went to jail. Anyway, yeah. Also, just the fact that Elon Musk is publicly agreeing to like this conspiracy theory, which is connected to the idea that because Hillary Clinton and her staffers had emails in which they talked about ordering cheese pizza, you also have to make like the mental leap from those emails where they're talking about ordering cheese pizza for their staff to cheese pizza. The the two first letters of those words, CP, those also could stand for child porn. And therefore, there must be a secret basement underneath Comet Ping Pong where they torture children to extract their adrenochrome. And if you might be asking, like, oh, that sounds completely insane. Why would anyone think that? It's because it's like an offshoot theory of QAnon. QAnon people believe that the elites in America, the political and economic elites, often the Jews, um, they believe that they abduct children or buy children from child traffickers and then torture them to extract a compound known as adrenochrome that they then inject into their own veins to keep them young forever. I guess that's kind of the whole thing of QAnon, right? The reason QAnon stands Trump is because Trump was supposedly put into power and was secretly behind the scenes working to take down the deep state that facilitates all of this child abuse. Um, so anyway, Elon Musk is now just buying into that wholesale. It just does seem at least a little suspicious. Very interesting, concerning even. But keep in mind, Elon Musk is also the guy who hung out with the lady who got children for Jeffrey Epstein to traffic on his child sex island. So, interesting. Concerning, even. Hmm. Weird. Anyway, Elon Musk has been continuing this downward trajectory. He had an interview with Andrew Ross Sorkin for the New York Times, and it went about as terribly as you might expect. Um, like, I wonder if I think someone zoomed in and got a picture of it, but like Elon Musk is a billionaire, right? I shouldn't free scroll on Twitter. This is dangerous. Um, Elon Musk is a billionaire. People zoomed in on footage of him in this interview, and like he's like unshaven, like he's missed patches of his neck beard. Like it like just looking gross as hell. Like people have been saying in this interview he looks like basically Leon S. Kennedy if Leon S. Kennedy was on like a huge drug bender. And not only that, but like his behavior in this interview is absolutely wild. Like both to the extent of, you know, advertisers are leaving his company because they're realizing that their ads that they're running on his website are being shown next to white nationalists praising Hitler. But also he's just like doubling down and being like, "Oh, if you don't like it here, you could just leave." And it's like, bro, they already have. Like your biggest advertisers that maybe were slowly starting to come back, they're all gone again. And so like he's doubling down on like the bad business messaging, but also he just looks like he's not okay. Like there is something deeply, deeply wrong and disturbing about his behavior here. So anyway, let's check it out. And I'm going to play Tactics Ogre while we do.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
By the way, this is zero. We're at zero. We're starting from 0 seconds in this video. Okay, we're starting at 0 seconds in.
Just leaving. We talked to Bob Iger today.
I hope they stop.
You hope?
Don't advertise.
You don't want them to advertise?
No.
What do you mean?
This isn't the interview. This is the entire conversation.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go fuck yourself.
But
go fuck yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
well, let me ask you then.
That's how I feel. Don't advertise.
How do you think then about the
Like, I mean, it's just so fascinating, right? Like he just says it, and then like looks around for like approval.
economics of X? If part of the underlying model, at least today, and maybe it needs to shift. Maybe the answer is it needs to shift away from advertising. If you believe that this is the one part of your business where you will be beholden to those who have this view.
Also, you can see his hand shaking, by the way, when he picks up his water. Just like
Blackmail me with advertising? Blackmail me with money? Go fuck yourself.
you're a billionaire, yeah.
But
Go fuck yourself. Is that clear?
They're laughing at you, bro.
Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
well, let me ask you then.
Like, did you guys see that with his hand? Like, just
That's how I feel. Don't advertise.
How do you, if part of the underlying model, at least today, and maybe it needs to shift, maybe the answer is it needs to shift away from advertising. If you believe that this is the one part of your business where you will be beholden to those who have this view, what do you do?
F-Y.
I understand that, but there's a reality too, right?
Yes. No.
I mean, Linda
no,
Yaccarino's right here, and she's got to sell advertising.
Absolutely. So, no, totally. So, no. Actually, what this advertising boycott is going to do, it's going to kill the company.
And do you think that
And the whole world will know that those advertisers killed the company, and we will document it in great detail.
But those advertisers, I imagine, are going to say.
okay. I've got to be upfront with you guys. I've not watched this whole thing. This is like he's like, yeah, you're gonna kill our company, and you know the entire world's gonna know that you killed. Yeah. No one gives a shit, guy. What you think? What they're gonna investigate the war crimes Coca-Cola did against Twitter? Like, Coca-Cola has literally funded like death squads. Like, and people still buy it. You think they're gonna care that like Twitter's gone?
They're going to say we didn't kill the company.
Oh yeah.
They're going to say
Tell it to Earth.
But they're going to say Elon, that you killed the company because you said these things, and that they were inappropriate things, and that they didn't feel comfortable on the platform, right? That's what they're going to say.
And let's see how Earth responds to that.
So okay, then this goes back to
We'll both make our cases,
right?
and we'll see what the outcome is.
What are the economics of that for you? I mean, you have enormous resources, so you can actually keep this company going for a very long time. Would you keep it going for a long time if there was no advertising?
I mean, if the company fails because of an advertiser boycott, it will fail because of an advertiser boycott. And that will be what bankrupted the company, and that's what everybody on Earth will know.
But I won't care because I'll be on Mars. What a weirdo. Dude is not okay.
What do you think then of the, this goes back to the idea of trust, though.
Then it'll be gone. And it'll be gone because of an advertiser boycott.
But you recognize that some of those people are going to say that they didn't feel comfortable.
He's treating it like a child's toy.
On the platform. And I just wonder and ask you and think about that for a second.
Tell it to the judge.
But the judge is going to be...
The judge is the public.
And you think that the public is going to say that Disney is making a mistake?
Yes.
And they're going to boycott Disney?
They already are.
Well, there are some that are for lots of different reasons. But you think that this is going to... that you have the... This goes to actually the interesting of power and leverage.
Let the chips fall where they may. Let the chips fall where they may.
Can I ask why that is the approach? And I ask it because you've been
What's the other approach? Well,
you've been very particular about the approach to Tesla. When you think about the engineering involved in that, the approach to SpaceX, the approach to some of the stuff you're doing with AI has been very specific, right? There's not a let the chips fall where they may approach to those businesses, I don't think.
No, we focus on making the best products.
Yeah, this is what happens when you have a billionaire version of Charlie Bit My Finger.
And Tesla's gotten to where it's gotten with no advertising at all.
That is just not true. Tesla advertises? What?
Understand that.
Tesla currently sells twice as much in terms of electric vehicles as the rest of electric car makers in the United States combined. Tesla has done more to help the environment than all other companies combined. It would be fair to say that, therefore, as a leader of the company, I've done more for the environment than everyone else, and any single human on Earth.
How do you feel about that? No,
How do I feel about that?
Yeah, no, I'm asking you personally
Matt
how you
the
feel about that.
Yahoo.
Because we're talking about power and influence. And
I'm saying what I care about is the reality of goodness, not the perception of it. And what I see all over the place is people who care about looking good while doing evil. Fuck them. Okay?
Let me ask you this, because I think part of this, by the way, there's some people who said, look, owning X to begin with has just created problems, that you've created so many amazing things that are changing our world. And I know you want to make X this fabulous town square free speech platform, but that unto itself that has created such a distraction of all of these things. This is the conversation we're having. We're not focused, or we're not talking at least yet, and we will. On Tesla, you have your Cybertruck deliveries tomorrow.
The Cybertruck deliveries. I have to take a quick phone call. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, okay? Yeah, this is crazy. I'm going to play Tactics Ogre now.
And everything else that you're doing. But
yes, it will be the biggest product launch of anything by far on Earth this year.
Is there any part of you, though, that just says, you know what? I just shouldn't have done this, or maybe I should sell it, or give it away, or do something else with the X piece.
Do anything else with my life.
Given the propensity for some of the things that you do and say on that platform to create these issues.
Yeah. Of all the posts
this is
I've done
deeply
on the platform,
uncomfortable.
I think there might be 30,000 or something like that.
Right.
Once in a while, I will say something foolish. And I have.
Yeah, only
And
once in a
also
while.
it put,
Definitely not
that
like
comment,
3 minutes ago.
That you said the actual truth among perhaps one of the most foolish, if not the most foolish thing I've ever done on the platform. And I did do my best to clarify afterwards that, I certainly do not mean anything anti-Semitic in that. The nature of the criticism was simply that the Jewish people have been persecuted for thousands of years. There is a natural affinity, therefore, for persecuted groups.
Oh, Dark Canuck, I've experienced hot
This
flashes
has led
with
to
HRT.
the funding
It is not
of
fun.
organizations that essentially promote any persecuted group or any group with the perception of persecution.
Yeah,
This
Somniostatic.
includes radical Islamic groups. Everyone here has seen
Gonna do a training battle.
the massive demonstrations for Hamas in every major city in the West. That should be jarring. Well, a number of those organizations received funding from prominent people in the Jewish community. Right. They didn't expect that to happen. But if you generically, right, without condition, sort of fund, if you
Yeah,
fund
he does seem like he's
persecuted
zooted.
groups, in general, some of those persecuted groups, unfortunately, want your annihilation. And what I meant by that, when I subsequently clarified, is that it's unwise to fund organizations that support groups that want your annihilation. Is this coming across clearly?
Yeah,
at
no,
this
it
point?
is. My question to you, though,
I think logically this makes a lot of sense.
Is there any part of you, I mean, just tell me what happens, though, once all this happens?
Let's say you fund a group, and that group supports Hamas, who wants you to die. Perhaps you should not fund them.
Right. But you do.
Thank you.
3 people in the audience.
You do appreciate that when you wade into these very delicate waters, at these very delicate times,
Yes.
that it can create a real, I mean, as it created headlines for the past 2 weeks, and economic impact.
Oh yeah, no, Gayfesh, absolutely.
I'm
There's
just
no
so curious
recalculation
what
on his
happens in
part.
your brain when you see all this happening.
I think
are you sitting there going, oh my God, I stepped in it, I wish I didn't do that? Are you saying, screw
Yes.
them, I hate these people,
No,
why
no.
are they after me?
But all of that. Yeah, there's all of that. I mean, look.
Okay,
I'm sorry
he's
for
deeply
that
unwell.
tweet or post. It was foolish of me. Of the 30,000, it might be literally the worst and dumbest post that I've ever done. And I try to my best to clarify 6 ways to Sunday. But at least I think over time it will be obvious that, in fact, far from being anti-Semitic, I'm in fact philo-Semitic. And all the evidence in my track record would support that.
Let me ask you this, though. There are people who say crazy things on X, as you know. Maybe you think they're crazy, maybe they're not.
The aspiration for X is to be the global town square. Now, if you were to walk down to, let's say, Times Square,
Right.
do you occasionally hear people saying crazy things?
Yes, but
Yeah.
they're not. But they don't have the megaphone, right? And that's the conundrum.
No,
Right? They
but-
can only say it to the 50 or 100 people that are standing there in Times Square.
They don't have a mega. I mean, look, the joke I used to make about old Twitter was it was like giving everyone in the psych ward a megaphone. I'm aware that things can get promoted that are negative beyond the sort of circle of somebody simply screaming crazy things in Times Square, which happens all the time. It's actually pretty rare for something, frankly, that is hateful to be promoted. It's not that it never happens, but it's fairly rare. I mean, I would encourage people to look at, for those that use the system, when you look at the sort of the feed that you receive, how often is it hateful, and over time has it gotten more or less hateful? And I would say that if you look at the X platform today versus a year ago, I think it is actually much better. I mean, what is your personal experience?
Are you surprised?
I'm just curious. You use this.
I use the platform religiously. I
So you
will
would
admit to
notice.
being an addict.
You would
And I
notice.
use the For You, and I will say, now, the problem is, because I'm a journalist, I go looking for stuff.
Well, that's not our
I'm
fault.
just saying. And because I also think the algorithm, for me personally, because I'm looking for stuff, also is feeding me other things.
This is actually a challenge in that, like sometimes people will say, like, why is it showing me, posts from this person that I hate? And we were like, well, did you interact a lot with this person that you hate? Well, yes. Well, therefore, it thinks that you want to interact more with this person that you hate. That's like a reasonable.
Let me ask you this.
You kind of want to have an
When you
argument.
tweet,
Yeah.
There's no
Do
way
you
we
ever
could
post?
possibly
Post.
avoid
Let's say
this,
post.
except
When you post-
when we
Listen,
did
I'm
in the
open to-
past.
If anyone can come up with a better word, that would be great.
when you post, though,
But the least bad word I can think of is post.
when you post, though, are you trying to rile up either a base or an audience? Do you recognize the power you
Hey,
have
Vox and
in
Socks.
that? And also, by the way, not just rile up one version of side of it, but also rile down, which is to say, as I said, there are people who are demonstrably anti-Semitic on the site. Who I get Jew boy things and all sorts of things that come my way.
Hey, for a while they thought I was Jewish, so they would, I'd get it too.
But no. But the question is,
My name is Super Jewish.
do you ever think to yourself, you know what? I'm going to go online.
Is your
and I'm gonna
name
say,
Super
these
Jewish?
People, I
What?
condemn these people that are on my site saying these things. Because
I mean, I
think
have
that's
said, I have.
No, you say I've condemned anti-Semitism, but do you ever go?
Yeah, I said I literally posted I condemn anti-Semitism in all its forms. Like that is a literal, I believe, literal post that I made.
Yeah.
And I'm like, listen,
He could
if
never
I
be
can get out the
anti-Semitic if he
thesaurus,
said
you-
that.
And we could,
Let me ask you a different question.
you compose it, I'll post it.
Okay, let me ask you this.
Yeah, that's a real genuine outpouring of his
you were
opinion,
on a
I
podcast
guess.
about a month ago.
Oh,
And you
boy.
said something that struck me, and it struck me as accurate, came out of your mouth, so hopefully it is. But I'm hoping we go deep on this.
Just because it came out of my mouth does not mean it's true.
No, but
I don't-
you said
What?
you said my mind is a storm. I don't think most people would want to be me. They may think they want to be me, but they don't know. They don't understand. What did you mean by that? What was your mind being a storm? And I think it. I mean, I have known you for quite some time. I think it is a bit of a storm.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, in as much as a weather metaphor makes sense, my mind often feels like a very wild storm. I mean, I have a fountain of ideas. I mean, I have more ideas than I can possibly execute. So I have no shortage of ideas. Innovation is not the problem. Execution is the problem. I've got a million ideas. I mean, I've got an entire design for an electric supersonic vertical takeoff jet, but I just can't do that as well. I've had that for 10 years.
You have an idea for a electric supersonic jet. Yeah, I could have been doing this any time in the past 10 years, but I just decided not to. Sure, bud. When Elon Musk says he has an idea for something, he means like exactly to the extent of what he just said. Like, I had the idea to make an electric supersonic jet that takes off vertically. That's it. That's his idea. That's as much thought as he has put into that, other than, man, that'd be cool. Well, Terrell, largely the supersonic passenger jets were a failure because of the fuel costs. But if it was electric, then it would work. But the issue is, we aren't even anywhere within the ballpark of creating electric passenger liner jets on their own, let alone supersonic jets. Hey, Charlie.
And there's a million things.
But is your storm a happy storm?
Oh.
It's not a happy storm.
Oh. Oh, you poor boy. Oh.
Storm. Tell us about that, because I think that actually, when people try to really understand you, I think that there's a lot of this comes from some other place, and I want to talk about that. What do you think that is?
Dude needs to go to therapy.
We really need like a psychiatrist couch here or something.
Dude.
I think to some degree I was born this way, and then it was amplified by a difficult childhood, frankly. But I can remember even in happy moments when I was a kid that it just feels like there's just a rage of forces in my mind constantly. But now this, productively manifests itself in technology and building things for the most part. So, and I think on balance, the output has been very productive. I think the results, as we discussed earlier with SpaceX, Tesla, PayPal, which is still going today. The first internet company that I started, in fact, the first internet company I started, Zip2, was funded by a New York Times company, Hearst Knight Ridder, and in fact, we wrote some of the software for the New York Times website, and we helped bring online several hundred newspapers that previously were only in print. Now this is in the 90s, which at this point is like, I'm like a grandpa, basically. The 90s and internet feels like a pre-Cambrian era when there were only sponges. Anyway, I feel like a lot of productive things have been done, and you can also look at Tesla as being sort of many companies in one. Like our supercharging network is, if the Tesla supercharging network were its own company, it would be a Fortune 500 company by itself. Just the supercharging system. We also make the cells. We build the power electronics and the powertrain from scratch.
Yo, he is imploded. Asking him about his mental health
design,
destroyed this man.
Ever used. We have the best manufacturing technology at Tesla, better manufacturing technology than companies that have been doing it for 100 years. So these demons of the mind, are, for the most part, harnessed to productive ends.
This is way weirder than I thought it was going to be.
That doesn't mean that once in a while they, go wrong.
And this is a question I think a lot of people, are always trying to figure out about not just you, but sometimes themselves. Meaning, what is driving all of this? You're doing all of these things. Do you think that you would be as successful, whatever success is, if it wasn't being driven by I think that there's something you're trying to prove, either to yourself or to somebody. I don't know. We're all trying to prove something. Maybe I'm trying to prove it to my mother. I don't know.
No. If I were to describe my philosophy, it is a philosophy of curiosity. I did have this existential crisis when I was around 12 about what's the meaning of life? Isn't it all pointless? Why not just commit suicide? Why exist?
Dude.
I read the religious texts. I read the philosophy books. Especially the German philosophy books made me quite depressed, frankly. One should not read Schopenhauer and Nietzsche as a teenager. But then I read Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which is a book on philosophy in the form of humor. And
what?
The point that,
Douglas Adams' Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is a phenomenal book. I don't know that it offers a philosophical rebuttal to, Nietzsche. I think it's... Wait. I love it to death. It's one of my favorite books, but I wouldn't say it's a treatise on philosophy.
Adams was making there was that we don't actually know what questions to ask. That's why he said that, the answer is 42. Like, basically, Earth's a giant computer, and it came up with the answer 42. But then to actually figure out what the question is, that's the actual hard part. I think this is generally true also in physics. At the point at which you can properly frame the question, the answer is actually the easy part. So my motivation then was that, well, my life is finite, really a flash in the pan on a galactic time scale. But if we can expand the scope and
But notice like even his like response here, like using Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, he's like, yes, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy was kind of a rebuttal to Nietzsche because it pointed out that you might not know what question to ask about how to get to the meaning of life, but that's not a rebuttal. That's just like kind of like saying, oh, you have an absence of like philosophical thought and like ethical structuring to get you to your answer. Like this is very bizarre, right?
Scale of consciousness, then we are better able to figure out what questions to ask about the answer that is the universe. And maybe we can find out the meaning of life.
I'm not gonna lie, this feels like he's about to end this talk with like a draught of hemlock or something. Like he feels to me like he's on the brink, dude.
For even what the right question to ask is.
I mean, I'd feel bad for
where do
him
we
if he
come
wasn't
from?
a
Where are we
billionaire
going?
who makes all of our lives worse.
Where are the aliens? Are there aliens? These questions, and is there new physics to discover? Or is this, because there seems to be some real questions around dark matter and dark energy and...
What is he talking about now?
So the purpose of SpaceX is to extend life beyond Earth.
What? Like now he's rambled into talking about the purpose of SpaceX. Good golly, dude.
On a sustained basis, so that we can at least pass one of the Fermi great filters, which is that of being a single planet civilization. If we are a single planet civilization, then we are simply waiting around for some extinction event, whether that is man-made or natural. But if you're a single planet civilization, eventually...
We don't even know if the Fermi
somebody will
paradox
happen to that
great
planet
filter
and
is
you will
that.
die. If you're a multi-planet civilization, you will live much longer. Also, a multi-planet civilization that's the natural...
This guy's just looking at him like, I didn't ask you about this at all. Like, what are you doing here? Also, he's probably seeing dollar signs because this interview is going to get him, again, millions of views and probably like a promotion to like, I don't know, headline some show on MSNBC or something.
Stepping stone to being a multi-stellar civilization and being out there among the stars. So now this, I think, has two... This is not simply a defensive motivation, but it is also one where that gives meaning, man's search for meaning.
Can I ask you a different...
But let me finish this
Jesus
philosophy
Christ,
point,
dude.
even though it may seem rather esoteric. It may resonate with a few people. We must get past this Fermi filter of being this great filter of being a single planet civilization. And if we do that, we're more likely to understand the nature of the universe and what questions to ask. If you're a believer in the philosophy of curiosity, then I think you should support this ambition. But it's more. Being a multi-planet species is more than simply, life insurance for life collectively. That's a defensive reason. But I think also that life has to be more than simply solving one sad problem after another. There There have to be reasons.
So true, King.
Where you wake up in the morning and you're happy to be alive. There have to be reasons that you have to say, why are you excited about the future? Like, what?
Dude, his wife leaving him to date a trans woman has completely undone this man. Like, he can't even see a reason to get up in the morning.
Gives you hope. And if you aren't sure, ask your kids. And
Ask your kids, but not your trans kid, because they're a bitch who won't acknowledge you as their father because you're just awful to them. God, the gall of this man to talk about, looking to your kids when he, is literally an abusive parent to his trans daughter. Fuck him. Fuck off, asshole. You wanker.
And I think the idea of us being a spacefaring civilization and being out there among the stars is incredibly inspiring and exciting and something to look forward to. And there need to be such things in the world.
Okay, well, I didn't ask about any of that.
About confidence. We were having a conversation here earlier about people and where people get their confidence from. Some people have great insecurity. Other people have great confidence. And I was thinking about you because you have a very interesting history where people have told you over and over again that you're wrong.
Well, sometimes they're right.
Well, sometimes they are, but I would say that when it comes to Tesla, when it came to SpaceX, people told you that you were crazy, you were out of your mind. This was never going to happen. This was never going to work. And so what the reason I ask you this, though, is now when people say...
Okay, we're going to have some dialogue, I think.
Wallace to forces. Can't catch a break, can we?
They have us in numbers. Best fall back to rhyme.
I'd sooner fall into my grave. Are you a son of Galgaston or no?
Talk brave as you like. It won't change our odds. We should rejoin the file.
Amorica falls, and you think the sky falls with it. Bring 'em on, I say, for Galgaston!
You're wrong. This isn't right. Do you look at that and say, you know what, that's like a red flag for me because, I've been told so often that I'm wrong that I know that I know I'm right because I've had that experience. Or are there people in your life when they say, you know what, Elon, this is not right? Do you know what I'm saying?
I think what you're sort of trying to say is that, do I at this point think because I've been right so many times when others have said I'm wrong, that now I have to believe I'm right when in fact I'm wrong?
You did very well. What do you think?
No, I'm right. Look, here's the thing. Physics is unforgiving. Physics is unforgiving. So, I have, these various little sayings that I've come up with, that physics is the law and everything else is a recommendation.
Right.
In the sense that you can break any law made by humans, but try breaking a law made by physics. That's much more difficult. So if you are wrong and persist in being wrong, the rockets will blow up and the cars will fail. So this is, we're not trying to just figure out what flavor of ice cream is the best flavor of ice cream. Like, if there's 1,000 things that can happen on a rocket flight, and only one of them gets the rocket to orbit. And so being wrong results in failure when dealing with physical objects.
But that's the interesting part. So now you've built these great companies that physically, the physics of them are enormously successful. So successful, arguably, that you have leverage over everybody else, right? Nobody else can do Starlink. Nobody else can get. Nobody else can get the rockets in space yet. Amazon and Jeff Bezos are trying, but they haven't yet.
I hope he does.
You hope he does.
Yeah. I mean, I think, but I actually agree with a lot of Jeff's motivations. I mean, I think, he's, and so let me put it this way: if there was a button I could press that would delete Blue Origin, I wouldn't press it. So I think it's good that he's spending money on making rockets too. It's just perhaps he spend more time on it, but it's up to him. But I should make a point here. So nothing any of my companies have done has been to stifle competition. In fact, we've done the opposite. So at Tesla, we have open sourced our patents. Anyone can use our patents for free. How many companies do you know who've done that? Can you name one?
I don't know that Tesla has patents along those lines. I think a lot of the technology that Tesla uses was originally patented in like the 1920s or 30s.
I can't.
I could be wrong about that.
At SpaceX, we don't use patents. So, I mean, so once in a while we'll file
Volvo
a patent
did.
just
They
so
made the
some
patent for
troll
seatbelts
doesn't
free.
Cause trouble.
That's pretty dope.
But we're not stopping any. We've done nothing anti-competitive. We've done nothing to stop our
I'm not
competitors.
suggesting you are at all.
No,
Why is he
I'll talk to the
talking
audience,
about
because some companies
anti-competitive
have
practices?
done anti-competitive things. I think the strange thing, or the unusual thing about SpaceX and Tesla is that we've done things that have helped our competition. So at Tesla, we have made our supercharger system open access. We've made our charger technology available for free to the other manufacturers.
The reason
No walled garden. We could have put a wall up, but instead we invited them in.
The reason I mention this, though, is because you've had this success in the physical physics world, you now have these
physical
very
physics world.
difficult decisions that have huge impacts on the world that are not physical decisions at all. They're decisions of the mind. They're decisions that you and others have to make, and there's a question whether you should be making these decisions at all. And I think about it in the context of Starlink. Obviously, there was the report about how it's being used in Ukraine and the Russia war. There's questions about Taiwan, whether Taiwan should use it or will use it. I believe they're not right now because they're worried that at some point maybe the Chinese will tell you that you have to, they have leverage over you and you're going to have to turn that off, right? I mean, these are very difficult decisions, and I'm so curious how you think about that. And not just the decisions, the fact that you have that power.
I think it's important for the audience to understand that the reason I have these powers is not because of some anti-competitive actions. It's simply because we've executed very well.
Oh, I'm not dismissing that. I think there are so many people, by the way, who are huge supporters of what you've...
He's so on edge about people like this reporter isn't even trying to go after him right here. He's just kind of assuming that this interview is like a big gotcha or something. And he's just gotchaing himself. It's very bizarre.
There are other satellites out there,
But they're not as good as yours. And and we can say that maybe make the same argument of cars and everything else. But as a result, that gives you enormous leverage. Right?
Okay.
I mean, with the exception of by the way, these advertisers who aren't on X, in every other instance, everybody needs you.
I mean, nobody's letting me use our product if it's better than use somebody else's product if it's the other product's better.
And I accept that. And maybe one day somebody else will create
it is like there is like this invisible wall between him and this interviewer where he's just genuinely not understanding the questions. It's bizarre.
better products.
Is it like, how is it a bad thing to make better products than other companies?
Well, I want to just go back to the Starlink piece of it, though, because that has sort of a geopolitical ramification in terms of your power and how you think about that specific power, and then the power that the U.S. government might have either over you or not over you. the power the Chinese government might have over you or not over you.
Decisions
and
of
how
the
those
mind.
things get used.
You know, as opposed to the other decisions you make. Hey, Ms. Drislin.
I mean, what are you suggesting?
I'm asking the question around this very idea of how these satellites are going to be used, whether you think that you should have control of them, whether the government should have control of them.
Do you trust the government?
Well, there's a lot of people who don't trust the government.
Nah, exactly.
But then this goes
What?
back to the trust of you.
Ah, exactly.
I mean, like I said, we're not
Exactly
the
what?
only company who has communication satellites. Our satellites are just much better than theirs. So it's not like we have a monopoly.
Right.
We just have
do you feel like
the
anybody
best
has
product. It's not like,
do you feel anybody has leverage over you?
I mean, I think at the end
Oh,
of the day,
that's a long
if
pause.
we make bad products that people don't want to use, then the users will vote with their resources and use something else.
Unironic vote with your wallets moment. Jesus.
Let me pivot the conversation for a second.
I mean, certainly, I mean, my company's overseen by regulators, and while, you know, since SpaceX, Starlink, Tesla are overseen by, you know, cumulatively over 100 regulators, in actually more than that, a few hundred regulators, because we're in 55 countries. If you sum up all the times that I had an argument with regulators, of hundreds of regulators over decades, it can sound really terrible, except they forgot to mention that there were 10 million regulations we complied with and only 5 that I disagreed with. But
Hey,
it was still
Paladin.
The 5. And it sounds like, wow, this guy's a real maverick. I'm like, yeah, but what about the 10 million we complied with?
Do you, let me one related thing on this, and the leverage of countries and things over you, and regulators. X is this free speech platform. You do business in China.
Yeah, we're playing
Lots of
Tactics
business in China.
Ogre
That's an
Reborn.
important
It's-
part of
I've never
your
played
business,
it.
I imagine.
Well,
very fun.
Not SpaceX.
How do you think about the leverage that the Chinese have?
Honestly, I had a roommate once who had a major ketamine habit, and after I heard that Musk had a thing for non-prescribed ketamine, this behavior started to make more sense to me. Wait, does he have a thing for non-prescribed ketamine? I saw some people on Twitter making comments about that, but I didn't know how much stock to put in it. But if that is indeed the case, it would explain a lot of this interview.
Over you? And do they have leverage over you? And how do you feel about, some people would say, is it hypocritical for you to be doing business in China, or frankly in other countries as it relates to X and other things, that don't follow this free speech path that you have espoused?
The best that the X platform can do is adhere to the laws of any given country. Do you think there's something more?
Yeah, the best we can do is follow the law. There's definitely no higher bar of performance than just following the basic minimum that doesn't get you thrown in prison or fined.
more we could do than that?
I think it would be very hard, but I just wonder, given the sort of strong philosophical approach that you've been vocal about, whether you say to yourself, you know, maybe I shouldn't be doing business in that country.
Well, first of all, Starlink and SpaceX are no business in China whatsoever. Tesla has one of 4 vehicle factories in China, and China is, you know, I don't know, a quarter of our market or something like that. So it's a quarter of the market of one company. The same is true, by the way, of all the other car companies. They also have something on that order of a quarter of their sales in China. So if that's a problem for Tesla, it's a problem for every car company. I mean, I think one has to be careful about not conflating the various companies, because I can only do things that are within the bounds of the law. I cannot do beyond that. My aspiration is to do as much good as possible and to be as productive as possible within the bounds of what is legal. More than that, I cannot do.
I want to pivot and talk about AI for a moment. We had Jensen Huang here, who's a big fan of yours, as you know.
Yeah, Jensen's awesome.
Talked about bringing you the first box, by the way,
Yes.
with Ilya, interestingly enough.
Yes.
Back in 2016, I think.
There's a video Jensen and me unpacking the first AI computer at OpenAI.
So,
Oh yeah, no,
I'm so
Charlie,
curious what you
absolutely,
think of
dude.
what's just happened over the past 2 weeks.
Absolutely.
While you were dealing with this other series of headlines, there was a whole other series of headlines
OpenAI soap opera.
at OpenAI. What did you think?
Well,
You founded it, co-founded it.
co-founded it, yeah. Well, the whole arc of OpenAI, frankly, is a little troubling because the reason for starting OpenAI was to create a counterweight to Google and DeepMind, which at the time had 2/3 of all AI talent and basically infinite money and compute, and there was no counterweight. It was unipolar world, and Larry and Paige and I used to be very close friends, and I would stay at his house and I would talk to Larry into the late hours of the night about AI safety. And it became apparent to me that Larry did not care about AI safety. I think perhaps the thing that gave it away was when he called me a speciesist.
Kind of like how Elon Musk doesn't care about, I don't know, like social media safety. You know? Pretty okay with Nazis making violent threats towards trans people, for example. Interesting.
For being pro-humanity. As in, like a racist, but for species. So I'm like, wait a second, what side are you on, Larry? And then I'm like, okay, listen, this guy's calling me a speciesist. He doesn't care about AI safety. We've got to have some counterpoint here because
yes,
this seems
Elon
like
Musk, very offended by
we
the
could
term
be-
specious.
This is no good. So OpenAI was actually started, and it was meant to be open source. I named it OpenAI after open source. It is in fact closed source.
Wow. What an incredible intellect. You named it OpenAI after open source. Oh, wow. It's crazy, bro. You're so deep.
It should be renamed Super Closed Source for Maximum Profit AI.
It's a private.
So because
Yeah, you founded a private company, dipshit. Like what did you think your private company, your for-profit company, was gonna be making a non-profit open source piece of software? No.
this is what it actually is. I mean, fate loves irony. I mean, in fact, a friend of mine has this says like the way to predict outcomes is the most ironic outcome is the most. It's like this Occam's razor, like the simplest sort of explanation is most likely.
Yeah, you're good friends with Occam, the Occam. Yeah, go on.
And my friend Jonah's view is that the most ironic outcome is the most likely, and that's what's happened with OpenAI. It's gone from an open source foundation, a 501c3, to suddenly it's like a $90 billion for-profit corporation with closed source. So I don't know how you go from here to there, but that seems like I don't know.
That seems like something, I don't know, founder of the company would have a lot of insight into. Curious.
How you get? I don't know. Is this legal?
Oh god, someone should ask Elon about Alden's number. Someone needs to ask him because he would 100% pretend that he knew what it was. He would fall for Alden's number, hook, line, and sinker.
And
I'm like, that's legal.
So as you saw Sam Altman get ousted
Yeah.
by somebody you know, Ilya, and Ilya was a friend of yours.
Yes.
You brought him there. Your relationship with Larry Page effectively broke down over you recruiting him away, I think.
That's correct. That was the fight. Larry refused to be friends with me after I recruited Ilya.
And so here's Ilya apparently saying something is very wrong.
I think we should be concerned about this because I think Ilya actually has a strong moral compass. He thinks about, he really sweats it over questions of what is right. And if Ilya felt strongly enough to want to, fire Sam, well, I think the world should know what was that reason.
Have you talked to him?
I've reached out, but he doesn't want to talk to anyone.
Have you talked to other people behind the scenes as this is all happening?
I've talked to a lot of people.
I've talked to people before.
I've not found anyone who knows why. Have you?
I think we are all still trying to find out.
I mean, look, one of two things is either it was a serious thing and we should know what it is, or it was not a serious thing and then the board should resign.
What do you think of Sam Altman?
I have mixed feelings about Sam. I do, you know, the ring of power,
What?
you know, can corrupt.
Casually dropping your Lord of the Rings reference in there for no reason.
And this is the ring of power. So, you know, I don't know. I want to know why Ilya felt so strongly as to fire Sam. This sounds like a serious thing. I don't think it was trivial. And I'm quite concerned that there's some, you know, dangerous element of AI that they've created.
Discovered.
Yes,
You think they've discovered something.
that would be my guess.
Where are you with your own AI efforts relative to where you think OpenAI is, where you think Google is, where you think the others are?
I mean, on the AI front, I'm in somewhat of a quandary here because
No peace in death.
He's dissociating? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. We did some murders! Yay! Hell yeah.
I've thought AI could be something that would change the world in a significant way since I was in college, I mean, like 30 years ago. So the reason I didn't go build AI right from the get-go was because I was uncertain about which edge of the double-edged sword would be sharper, the good edge or the bad edge.
What?
So I held off on doing anything on AI. I could have created, I think, the leading AI company, and kind of OpenAI actually kind of is that. Because I was just uncertain, if you make this magic genie, what will happen? You know, whereas I think building sustainable energy technology is much more of a single-edged sword that is single-edged good. Making life multiplanetary, I think single-edged good. You know, Starlink, mostly single-edged good. I mean, giving people better connectivity to people that, you know, don't have connectivity or it's too expensive, I think is very, you know, very much a good thing. Starlink was instrumental, by the way, in halting the Russian advance. And the Ukrainians said so.
Remember when Elon Musk personally intervened to foil a Ukrainian counterattack against Russia? Anyway, I love how he's taking credit for keeping Ukraine safe at the moment. Super cool of him.
So, you know, I think but with AI, you've got the magic genie problem. You may think you want a magic genie, but once that genie's out of the bottle, it's hard to say what happens.
How far are we away from that genie being out of the bottle, you think? We think it's already out.
I mean, the genie is certainly poking its head out.
The AGI, the idea of artificial general intelligence, given what you now are working on yourself and you know how easy or hard it is to train, to create the inferences, to create the weights. I hope I'm not getting too far in the weeds of just how this works, but those are the basics behind the software end of this.
It's funny, you know, all these weights, they're just basically numbers in a comma-separated value file. And that's our digital god, a CSV file. Not that funny. that's kind of literally what it is. So I think it's coming pretty fast, you know.
Is that, I mean, you famously have admitted to overstating how quickly things will happen, but how quickly do you think this will happen?
We got some dialogue here.
The sooner you accept the truth, the sooner this will be over. The alternative is also swift yet painful.
Kill me if you wish. You can never kill our spirit, nor our desire for justice.
Defiant cur, kill her!
Ooh, they got a dragon.
Who are you lot?
Justice cannot be killed.
Who's that woman? She's not resistance. Another faction, perhaps.
Whoever she is, we can't just leave her.
I won't stand here and watch her be hunted. Quickly, to her aid.
Vanquish Bolis. To battle!
If you say smarter than the smartest human at anything,
Yep.
it may not be then quite smarter than all humans, all machine-augmented humans, you know, because people have got computers and stuff. There's a higher bar. But if you say smarter than any, you know, can write as good a novel as, say, J.K. Rowling, or discover new physics, or invent new technology,
That first one's a low bar.
I would say that we are less than 3 years from that point.
Let me ask you a question about XAI and what you're doing.
We're 3 years away from a book being able to be written by an AI that will then become a worldwide bestseller and create theme parks. I don't think so. I don't think so, dude.
And because there's an interesting thing that's different, I think, about
Even if
what
you lower the
have
bar to J.K.
relative
Rowling.
to some of the others, which is you have data, you have information, you have all of the stuff that everybody in here has put on the platform to sort through. And I don't know if everybody realized that initially. What is the value of that?
Yeah, I mean, data is very important. You could say data is probably more valuable than gold.
But then maybe you have actually, maybe you have more, maybe you have the gold in X in a different way. In a way, again, that I don't know if the public appreciates what that means.
Yes, X is might be the single best source of data. I mean, it is, there are more, you know, links that go to, people click on more links to X than anything else on Earth. Sometimes people think Facebook or Instagram is a bigger thing, but actually there are more links to X than anything. This is public information, you can Google it.
Okay, let me ask you a,
So it is where you would find what is happening right now on Earth at any given point in time. The whole OpenAI drama played out, in fact, on the X platform. So it is one of the, it's not, there, you know, Google certainly has a massive amount of data, so does Microsoft. So it's not like, but it is one of the best sources of data.
can I ask you an interesting IP issue, which I think is actually something I can say as somebody who's in the creator business and journalistic business and whatnot, or care about copyright. So one of the things about training on data has been this idea that you're not going to train, or that these things are not being trained on people's copyrighted information. Historically, that's been the concept.
Yeah, that's a huge lie.
Say that again?
Because these AIs are all trained on copyrighted data, obviously.
So you think
Dude! That quote right there is going to be like the thing that gets all of these AI algorithms like completely sued out of existence, dude. Why won't anyone call it X? Wait, have they not been calling it? I guess I don't really pay attention if somebody says X versus Twitter. Has Elon been calling it Twitter this entire time? If so, that's very funny. Hey, Nenya the cat. The interviewer keeps dead naming it? Ah, gotcha. Good. Because honestly, I'm not going to stop saying Twitter. X is dumb, and it will continue to be dumb.
I think it's a lie when OpenAI says that this is not, none of these guys say they're training on copyrighted data.
Oh, that's a lie.
It's a lie,
Yeah,
straight up.
It's a straight up lie.
Okay.
100%.
So then,
Obviously, it's been trained on copyrighted data.
okay, so let me ask you a second question, which is all of the people who have been uploading,
I mean, it's like one every minute. Yeah.
all of the people who've been uploading articles, the best quotes from different articles, videos to X, all of that can be trained on. And it's interesting because people put all of that there, and those quotes have historically been considered fair use, right? People are putting those quotes up there, and individually, on a fair use basis, you'd say, okay, that makes sense. But now there are people who do threads, and by the way, there may be multiple people who've done, you know, an article that has 1,000 words. Technically, all 1,000 words could have made it onto X somehow. And effectively, now you have this remarkable repository. And I wonder.
Yeah, but it's been trained on not just social media posts made in a public forum, and also those posts were not made under the assumption that it would then be incorporated into an AI. You know, like there's a lot of arguments against this line of thinking.
How you think about that again, and how you think the creative community and those who were the original IP owners should think about that.
I don't know, except to say that by the time these lawsuits are decided, we'll have Digital God. So, ask Digital God at that point.
Yep. By the time the lawsuits are decided, we'll have the Matrix. It'll be real. Yep. Mm-hmm.
These lawsuits won't be decided before, on a time frame that is relevant.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I think we live, you know, there's that, I don't know if it's actually a real Chinese saying or not, but may you live in interesting times,
right.
Which is apparently not a good thing. But I would prefer to, personally, I would prefer to live in interesting times. And we live in the most interesting of times. I think, for a while there, I was like really getting demotivated and losing sleep over the threat of AI danger. And then I finally sort of became fatalistic about it and said, well, even if I knew it was, annihilation was certain, would I choose to be alive at that time or not? And I said I probably would choose to be alive at that time because it's the most interesting thing, even if there's nothing I could do about it. So then, you know, basically sort of a fatalistic resignation helped me sleep at night because I was having trouble sleeping at night because of AI danger. Now, what to do about it?
You were having trouble sleeping at night because of AI. Nah, bro, I think you're having trouble sleeping at night because of whatever deep-seated emotional problems led you to, like, pause for a minute straight after this interviewer asked you about your mental health.
I mean, I've been the biggest, the one banging the drum the hardest, by far the longest, or at least one of the longest for AI danger. And these regulatory things that are happening, the single biggest reason they're happening is because of me.
Do you think they're ever going to get their arms around it? We talked to the vice president this afternoon. She said she wants to regulate it. People have been trying to regulate social media for years and have done nothing effectively.
Well, there's regulation around anything which is like a physical danger or a danger to the public. So like cars are heavily regulated, communications are heavily regulated, rockets and aircraft are heavily regulated. The general philosophy about regulation is that when something is a danger to the public, that there needs to be some government oversight. So I think in my view, AI is more dangerous than nuclear bombs. And we regulate nuclear bombs. You can't just go make a nuclear bomb in your backyard.
I mean, he is correct that we should regulate AI. That is correct. The broken clock has struck.
I think we should have some kind of regulation with AI. Now, this tends to cause the AI accelerationists to get up in arms because they think AI is sort of heaven, basically.
But you typically don't like regulation. You've pushed back on regulators for the most part in the world of Tesla and so many instances where we read articles about you pushing back on the regulators. I'm so curious why, in this instance, now you own one of these businesses.
As I said a moment ago,
I like that he's pretending to be powerless against all of this when he literally co-owns one of these businesses, you know?
one should not take what is viewed in the media as being the whole picture. There are literally hundreds, this is not an exaggeration, so there are probably 100 million regulations that my companies comply with. And there are probably 5 that we don't. And if we disagree with some of those regulations, it's because we think the regulation that is meant to do good doesn't actually do good.
But that's an interesting thing because
defying regulations for
the question is, if there are laws and rules, whether the idea is that you're making the decision that the law and the rule shouldn't be the law and the rule, and then, right? Isn't...
No, I'm saying you're fundamentally mistaken. And it should be obvious that you're mistaken. My company's automotive is heavily regulated. We would not be allowed to put cars on the road if we did not comply with this vast body of regulation. Now, you could fill up this stage with literally, 6 foot high, with the regulations that you have to comply with to make a car. Would make you could have a room full of phone books. That's how big the regulations are. And if you don't comply with all of those, you can't sell the car. And if we don't comply with all the regulations for rockets or for Starlink, they shut us down. So in fact, I am incredibly compliant with regulations. Now, once in a while, there'll be something that I disagree with. The reason I would disagree with it is because I think the regulation in that particular case, in that rare case, does not serve the public good, and therefore I think it is my obligation to object to a regulation that is...
Of course, the billionaire only objects to regulations that he thinks are not good for the public. With his big brain, he's able to discern that, the regulation prohibiting the dumping of toxic waste into the public water supply, that's not actually in the public's best interest. Of course. Yeah, that is how all of these wealthy individuals think when they're talking about deregulation.
It's meant to serve the public good, but doesn't. That's the only time I object.
Don't you see? He's just the humble steward of our planet.
I'm incredibly rule-following.
Let me ask you a separate question, a social media-related question. We've been talking about TikTok today, ahead of the election.
Sure. TikTok is...
What do you think of TikTok? Do you think it's a national security threat?
I don't use TikTok.
Say that again? You don't?
I don't personally use it. But for people for teenagers and people in their 20s, they seem almost religiously addicted to TikTok. Some people will watch TikTok for like 2 hours a day. I stopped using TikTok when I felt the AI probing my mind, and it made me uncomfortable.
Okay, this is the literally like tinfoil hat shit. I felt the AI probing my mind, and I didn't like it. Unlike on Twitter, where we just grab your data, I could feel it probing my mind on TikTok. Very Chinesely.
So I stopped using it. And in terms of anti-Semitic content, I mean, TikTok is rife with that. It has the most viral...
Dude, come on now. Yeah, there's anti-Semitic content on TikTok. What about Twitter, my guy?
anti-Semitic content by far.
But do you think the Chinese government is using it to manipulate the minds of Americans?
No.
Is that something that you think we should worry about? I mean, you have
I
different states that are trying to ban it.
I don't think this is some Chinese government plot, but it is the TikTok algorithm is entirely AI powered, so it is
Yeah, as opposed to every other social media platform. What are you talking about?
really just trying to find the most viral thing possible. It's what is going to keep you glued to the screen.
That's
it.
literally the premise of
now,
Twitter. What are you talking about?
On sheer numbers, there are on the order of 2 billion Muslims in the world, and I think much smaller number of Jewish people. What, 20 million, something?
What?
Many orders of magnitude fewer. So if you just look at content production, just on sheer
Fellini
numbers
Fiend.
basis,
Ariana
gonna
Jasmine,
be
thank you very much for the raid, by the way. I didn't see
anti-Semitic.
it. I'm so sorry.
Let me ask
Just
you.
on a number
Let me ask you a political question. And I've been trying to square this one in my head for a long time.
Yeah.
In the last 2 or 3 years, you have moved decidedly to the right, I think.
Have I?
Well, we can discuss this. I think that you have been espousing and promoting a number of Republican candidates and others. You've been very frustrated with the Biden administration over, I think, unions and feeling like they did not respect what you've created.
Well, I mean, without any, doing nothing to provoke the Biden administration, they held an electric vehicle summit at the White House and specifically refused to let Tesla attend. This was in the first 6 months of the administration. And we inquired, we literally make more electric cars than everyone else combined. Why are we not allowed?
Oh, boo, boo, hoo, hoo, hoo. They had an electric vehicle summit and Tesla wasn't there. Oh. Oh.
Why are you only letting Ford, GM, Chrysler, and UAW?
We all
which
love
specifically
Fellini
just
Fiend
allowing
here,
us
don't
from
we,
the EV
folks?
summit at the White House. We'd done nothing to provoke them. Then Biden went on to add insult to injury and publicly said that GM was leading the electric car revolution. This was in the same quarter that Tesla made 300,000 electric cars and GM made 26. Does that seem fair to you?
So, but tell me this then. It doesn't seem fair.
You were so unfair
I've
to me.
asked, repeatedly, you've probably seen me.
And by the way, I had a great relationship with Obama. So there was not a.
So, but then
I
there's
voted
this.
for Obama. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand. Okay.
So let me just ask on a personal level. I can see it in your face. This hurt you personally.
What?
And it hurt the company too. And it was an insult.
Die here. Not to you.
What did Elon say about Muslims? Basically, oh, there are so many Muslims in the world, a lot fewer Jews, haha. That was the implication being like Muslims would kill all the Jews. Yeah, super normal thing to say. Dragon recruit time? Nah, I can't. I couldn't recruit it. I tried. I tried to recruit the dragon. It wouldn't let me.
Insult to, Tesla.
But I got an
has
item for killing it.
140,000 employees. Okay, of the half of them are in the United States. Tesla has created more manufacturing jobs than everyone else combined.
Has to be really low health.
So let me ask this then.
Ah, damn it.
You've devoted at least the last
Without
close to
your
20
aid,
years of your
I
life,
would
if not
never
more,
have escaped
to
with my life. Thank you. I am Sistina, a warrior in the Liberation Front.
Tell us more about your not terrorist organization.
I was scouting the Galgastani in preparation for a raid on their stores when they spotted me.
Liberation Front. Partisans.
I only have a guy.
lot of them.
Wait,
Nothing but trouble.
I only have one character who can recruit. Lizards? Do dragons count as lizards in this game?
I had always thought us two sides of the same coin.
She is a Bakram traditionalist, a group loyal to the late King Dogaloa.
I've heard of them. Not all Bakram support the current regime after all.
Hashtag not all Bakram.
Oh, their goals are lofty enough, but their deeds border on butchery. They risk the lives of soldier and innocent alike with their subversion, means unworthy of their end.
You have us wrong. These are lies spread by Branton. We seek only a return to better times, when a man's race and beliefs could not discredit him.
Better times? Don't make me laugh.
Oh, I don't have any Beastmasters.
Good enough for those with luck to be born Barkram, but we lived then, as we do now, insects beneath the boots of our betters.
I see. Then tell me, why is it that you fight?
For peace.
We seek only peace, a world free of war and strife. This is why we fight.
Then we share common cause. Let us fight together.
Us? Fight alongside Barkram? Absurd. The peace we fight for is one in which the Wallister can live as men. We want no part in any shared peace. I piss on your common cause.
Enough, Vice. Such talk leads us nowhere.
This game is real. This game is real as hell.
This is our land, our fight.
You thought I said Beefmasters? No, that's a different class entirely and a very different kind of game.
As you wish. But we will not stop until the world is made fair and just. One day you will open your eyes. You will see that only by putting aside vain desires can we usher in an era of true peace.
I want her to elaborate on what her brand of peace means.
Go now, and do not return.
Cis Tina. Not trans Tina. I see you, game.
The climate change, trying to get Tesla off the ground, in part to improve climate. You talked about that.
Yeah, a real right-wing motive is
Repeatedly.
God, far right, if anything.
I understand that. And then it's
guys,
right.
Reverse psychology next level.
Well, no, but so here's then the question, which is how do you square the support that you have given? I believe you were at a fundraiser for Vivek Ramaswamy, for example, who says that the climate issue is a hoax, right?
Yeah, I disagree with him on that.
But I would think that would be such a singular issue for you. I would think that the climate issue would be such a singular issue for you that actually it would disqualify almost anybody who didn't take that issue seriously.
Well, I haven't endorsed anyone for president. I mean, I wanted to hear what Vivek had to say, because I think some of his things some of the things he says, I think, are pretty solid. You know, he's concerned about government overreach, about government control of information. The degree to which old Twitter was basically a sock puppet of the government was ridiculous. So, you know, it seems to me that there's a very severe violation of the First Amendment in terms of how much government control, how much control the government had over old Twitter. And it no longer does. So, you know, there's a reason for the First Amendment. The reason for the First Amendment for freedom of speech is because the people that immigrated to this country came from places where there was not freedom of speech. And they were like, you know what, we got to make sure that that's constitutional. Because where they came from,
I can be a beast tamer now.
They'd be put in prison, or they'd be, you know, something bad would happen to them. So, and freedom of speech, you have to say, when is it relevant? It's only relevant when someone you don't like can say something you don't like, or it has no meaning. And as soon as you sort of, you know, throw in the towel and concede to censorship, it is only a matter of time before someone censors you. And that is why we have the First Amendment.
Could you see yourself voting for President Biden? If it's a Biden-Trump election, for example?
I think I would not vote for Biden.
You'd vote for Trump?
I'm not saying I'd vote for Trump, but I mean, this is definitely a difficult choice here. You know.
Is it?
Would you vote for Nikki Haley? Nikki Haley, by the way, wants all social media
I've not watched the new Jabri.
names to be exposed, as you know.
No, I think that's outrageous. Yeah, no, I'm not going to vote for some pro-censorship candidate. Like I said, I mean...
Hey,
I
Dr.
think
Lewis. How's corn
you
pop?
have to,
Who knows?
You have to, consider that there is a lot of wisdom in these amendments, you know, in the Constitution. You know, a lot of things that we take for granted here in the United States that don't even exist in Canada. There's no constitutional right to freedom of speech in Canada. So, you know, and there's no Miranda rights in Canada. People think you know, you have the right to remain silent. You don't.
Pinochet Castle.
So, you know, I'm half Canadian. I can say these things, I suppose. But you know, so like you just got you.
I come before you, a humble servant of the great Duke Ronway, esteemed leader of the Wallister.
This will go well.
Announce your arrival.
The Dark Knights make their fastness here in Fidok Castle.
Oh, Fidok.
See her soaring white walls? No wonder they name her the Swan. But beneath her outward beauty is a nearly impregnable fortress. Be glad we are not tasked to take her.
We have looked for your arrival, Sir Leonard. You bring word from the Duke?
I do, my lord.
No doubt you've had a hard journey. Come, rest within our halls.
This will go well. I'm getting real Star Wars Episode 1 Phantom Menace vibes
Good
here.
nights. We find your Duke's proposal most intriguing.
Have you an answer?
Perhaps you'd best ask my lord directly for that.
Sir Lancelot is here. In this castle?
BCC TV, you're a low-key, very cute chatter.
Greetings, brave knights of the Wallister. I am Lancelot Tartaros.
Leonard Risi Ryman of Almorica, if it please you. You have considered our proposal?
You waste no time, do you? I like that. I do have an answer for your Duke. Tell His Grace that his struggle with the Galgastani is of no concern to His Eminence Abuna Branton, nor is it any concern of ours. The Knights Lothlorien remain and shall remain neutral on the matter.
My thanks, sir, for your swift response. Our lord will be much pleased.
Indeed. Yet I must ask, do you really believe you could defeat Galgastan without our aid?
Defeat Galgastan? Surely not. But such was never our intention. All we want, all we have ever wanted, is to fashion a peace with them. The Galgastani are a proud people. Were it to come to light that we sought foreign aid, it would endanger the position of those Galgastani who seek an accord as we do.
So, your Duke does not want to anger his neighbors by placing his problems in our hands. Buckram could stand to take a lesson from him.
I did not mean to suggest...
No matter. We of Lodus place much upon a man's honor. I can understand why your Duke would disdain the Buckram way, enjoying a life of leisure while others do their dirty work.
As you say, sir.
Forgive me, but your henchmen are so beautiful.
Your henchmen. They don't seem quite henchy.
I feared you wanted for seasoned men.
Though they may be young in years, my knight's skill in battle is no lesser for it.
Indeed.
They freed His Excellency and routed the Galgastani at Almorica. Moreover, it was they who came to my aid in Chrysaro. Without their intervention, I would not be here today.
Ah, so these are the heroes of Goliath, then. Forgive an old knight his errant tongue. I say, have we met?
No, not as such. That is
That is what? Speak plainly.
that night in Goliath. It snowed for the first time in years. The sweep of flakes over the harbour. The bitter cold. You were there.
Mind your place, Kashua. Have you forgotten why we are here?
I mean, not now,
He's right,
sister.
sister. This isn't the time. This conflict is larger than us now.
Ah, the torching. You would have been children, of course.
Aye. We attacked that night on word that elements of the resistance lurked in town.
False word, yes. I remember it well. As do you, clearly. We were in error, though I hardly expect forgiveness on that count. Still, I can but apologize for all it will do.
Enough of this. The Duke awaits our
Awkward.
return.
I murdered all your parents and your
Oh,
family.
I'd hope to speak
Anyway,
at greater
sorry.
length.
Yeah, no, Somniostatic, all of this has been very on the nose for current events.
Forgive them. Forgive us, good sir. We'll be taking our leave.
Oops,
Was
sorry.
that entirely necessary?
You recall Hoberum?
My brother? Aye. He was a staunch ally in a fight. Why?
Nothing. Only the brother and sister just now. Put me in mind of him and you. Oh, come again.
The freedom of speech is incredibly important. Even when people and like I said, it's actually especially important. In fact, it is only relevant when people you don't like can say things you don't like.
And do you think right now that
they're meaningless?
You think
You set aside your own
God, I don't even know why I bothered to turn down
enmity
the
for
volume.
the greater Wallister good. Such loyal service will not be forgotten. Would the time afforded you more rest, but I must ask you to leave for Balmamusa at once.
Balmamusa. That lies in the territory the Galgastani allotted for Wallister rule, no?
Wallister rule. Camps where our people are forced to live in squalor. It was a mining town once. Coal. Now our kinsmen are herded there like cattle. Some 5,000 labor in Balmamusa. Slaves in all but name. The conditions are horrific. Scores die by the day.
Okay, so a concentration labor camp.
Then it falls to us to free them.
You could never free 500, leave alone 5,000. No. You are to incite them to revolt.
Oh no.
An army 5,000 strong. there for the taking.
Oh, they're gonna get slaughtered, aren't they?
In truth, we cannot stay our course and hope for victory. We are far outmatched.
I think we founded fantasy Hamas in this game. Though, to be fair, this group is not like a bunch of religious zealots that are part of a death cult. Just FYI, Yatsuni Matsuno based the writing in this series on two things: Arthurian legends and the war in Yugoslavia, primarily the ethnic cleansing. Yeah, I'm picking that up. I'm picking up what he's putting down there.
However slight, we must tip the scales in our favor before Galgastan strikes. If all goes well, our bid will widen the rift between Balbatos and his enemies at home. He can scarce dispatch troops here before silencing the cries of dissent within his own ranks. This is our chance.
There will be those in Balmamusa with no stomach for fighting, and others who would sooner leave things as they are.
Yeah, this isn't really. I guess comparing it to Hamas is wrong-headed because again, the ideological differences are much larger. Or not much larger, but like much different in this game, right? Because like they're having more of an ethnic conflict between like different ethnic groups following the dissolution of kind of like a continent-wide empire. And so there's all of the ethnic conflict is starting up again. I can definitely see the Yugoslavia connection now. Kind of the dissolution of Yugoslavia. No, I know you were joking, but I'm just thinking it through, you know? Because I think a lot of people would probably put all terrorist groups into the same bucket, you know. But when it comes to that, it really matters like along what ideological grounds the terrorism is happening. I don't know much about Yugoslavia. Somniostatic, to give you a brief summary. Essentially, Yugoslavia, after World War II, was one of the most fucked up places by World War II. But they had kind of a resistance general named Tito, who everyone liked because he had basically been one of the only successful resistance leaders in the area. And combined with like the USSR, was able to kind of like bring together the Yugoslavian territories despite deep ethnic, animosities. Basically, Tito just kept getting elected and the country slid into kind of an authoritarian regime. But it was kind of unique because Tito was also able to kind of fend off like the USSR's more imperial designs and keep Yugoslavia kind of contained as its own thing. Was authoritarian, had secret police. It wasn't good, but also the economy was very different from like the USSR's economy. On an economical ground, basically kind of think large democratic co-ops. During this time, the economy in Yugoslavia kind of boomed. It was largely known as like the golden era of Yugoslavia. But unfortunately, Yugoslavia's economy, like a lot of economies in the 80s, absolutely tanked due to oil prices. A lot of its prosperity was built upon like oil subsidies being used to kind of even out the economy. And due to its economic collapse and the death of Tito, like it just kind of all fell apart into a conflict along ethnic lines. Basically, there was a more militarized ethnic group, I think, in the east, and it all went to hell. And then NATO intervened, ostensibly to stop genocidal action because things really got out of hand. Yeah. So that kind of is like a very, very brief summary. We've talked about it in depth on the channel before, but yeah. Hannah, thank you for the £9.99 shillings. I don't know how British money works. I'm sorry, but thank you very much for the super chat. I appreciate it very much. Also, if anyone else wants to support riverboat.gg, we have been going for about 2 hours. Hit the follow button, hit the subscribe button, hit the like on the stream, do the things, and help me to continue to live. My body.
Your task will be to win them to our cause.
Britcoin? True.
They grow weary of fighting, else they would rally more readily. I can think of none better to wake their slumbering heroism than young heroes such as yourselves.
I shall follow at the head of a separate file bearing arms for them.
The Galgastani hold the lands west of Tynemouth. Dame Ravnus will go with you in support.
My sword is yours.
Much rests on your young shoulders. I pray for your swift return.
Yeah, like Tito was a respected general, but he was fucking crazy, dude.
I'm counting on you, Leona. Do not fail me.
I can't oil too hard right now, but soon, TM, I promise.
Penny, thank you for the 2 gifted tier 1 subs. I appreciate it nonetheless. Yeah, Yugoslavia might be the closest to a functioning, on an economic scale, a functioning democratic co-op society than we've ever seen on the planet. But, everything else about Yugoslavia was fucked. So, I try not to use it as, a go-to example. Because, man, the secret police, really, really kind of made everything terrible. Along with the authoritarianism and, lack of genuine democracy.
No need to worry. Our plans proceed apace.
Yeah, exactly, Somniostatic. The USSR's imperialism just bent possibly socialist economies towards the Russia's own state capitalist goals. Shops have new items.
Take a look.
A coral harp. I'm just gonna buy one of every item just so I have all my bases covered. Was Tito the one Stalin kept trying to assassinate, so he sent Stalin a letter saying that if he sent another assassin, Tito would send one in return? Yeah, that sounds about right. Got a weapon in Cyberpunk literally named Kappa. Nice. Terrell, basically. Spirit Surge, NSFW. Yay. Alright. Also, Paladin, if you're still around, do you know why the game like clicks its tongue at you if you recruit a zombie and then use it in battle? Like it seems like the game gets angry at me for doing that. What?
Sir Lancelot.
Hey, nerd.
Ah, Denham. Tracked me down, did you?
Sir Gildas told me I'd find you here.
Durable as always.
So you have. Please. You look troubled. This business in Balmamusa disturbs you.
Sir Leonard says it will be a dangerous undertaking.
Are you frightened? That's not like you.
I am not frightened.
There's no shame in admitting fear. We are all afraid at one time or another.
Even you?
Oh, more times than I can count. At the first ring of steel, my hands tremble with it. But fear alone cannot kill you. It has no teeth.
It's strange. I tell myself I would gladly die for our cause. But when faced with death, the fear is all too real.
Risking your life is one thing. Losing it is another. The best way to aid your people is to stay alive. See the battle through to the end. And there's your sister to think of.
Hey, Metal Kitty Mom.
What about you? Would you die to save the ones you love? What's that?
A music box. It belonged to my wife.
Oh.
Your wife?
Ultimate wife guy.
It's been 5 years now. Before the war with the Empire. They advanced, and we fled, vagrants in our own land. My wife fell ill, and before I knew it, she was gone. I considered following her into death. My thoughts often strayed down that path before battle. But her music box still sang of life, and I knew it was not my time. My burden had not yet reached its end.
Ex-wife guy? Oh.
One young as you should never be forced to fight. But that's not the world we live in.
Everything will be fine. We're just here to incite violence.
Here, and in such numbers. How does His Eminence not see it? Troubled times such as these demand a staunch front line. You there! Hold the line or I'll kill you myself! We cannot let these rebels cross Lake Bordu! Forward!
I was right. It was Tito who said to Stalin the full quote was, "Stop sending people to kill me," We've already captured 5 of them, one of them with a bomb and another with a rifle. If you don't stop sending killers, I'll send one to Moscow and I won't have to send another. Damn, dude.
Right now, the Republican candidates or the Democrats are more inclined. I mean, this is where you go to, I assume, to woke and anti-woke and the mind virus issue that you've talked about. Which party do you think is more pro freedom of speech, given all the things you've seen? Because we also see, DeSantis, preventing people from reading certain things. Maybe you think that's correct.
No, look. We actually are in an odd situation here where, on balance, the Democrats appear to be more pro-censorship than the Republicans. I mean, that used to be the opposite. It used to be, the left position was freedom of speech. I believe at one point, the ACLU even defended the right of someone to claim that they were Nazi or something like that, So, like, there really were, like, the left was, freedom of speech is fundamental. I mean, my perception, perhaps it isn't accurate, is that the pro-censorship is more on the left than the right. We certainly get more complaints from the left than the right, let me put it that way. But my aspiration for the X platform is that it is the best source of truth, or the least inaccurate source of truth. And well, I don't know if you will believe me or not, but I think honesty is the best policy, and I think that the truth will win over time. And we've got this great system, and it's getting better, called Community Notes, which is fantastic, I think, at correcting falsehoods or adding context. In fact, we make a point of not removing anything, but only adding context. Now, that context could include that this is completely false, and here's why. And no one is immune to this. I'm not immune to it. Advertisers are not immune to it. In fact, we've had Community Notes, which has caused us some loss in advertising. Speaking of loss in advertising revenue, if a community note, if there's false advertising, the community note will say, "This is false," and here is why. I mean, there's one specific example that is public knowledge, so I'll mention it, which is.
Well, yeah, of course, conservatives will never acknowledge the paradox of tolerance. It would fly in the face of their desire to say the N-word at every available opportunity.
At one point, Uber had this ad which said, "Earn like a boss." And it was community noted, if by boss you mean $12.47 an hour, this did cause at least a temporary suspension of advertising from Uber.
I got to ask you a question that might make everybody in the room uncomfortable or not uncomfortable. It goes to the free speech issue. The New York Times company and the New York Times newspaper, it appeared over the summer to be throttled.
What did?
The New York Times.
Well, we do require that that everyone has to buy a subscription, and we don't make exceptions for anyone. And I think if I went to the New York Times, I have to pay for a subscription, and they don't give me a free subscription. So I'm not going to give them a free subscription.
But were you throttling the New York Times relative to other news organizations, relative to everybody else? Was it specific to the Times?
They didn't buy a subscription. By the way, it only costs like $1,000 a month. So if they just do that, then they're back in the saddle.
But you are saying that it was throttled.
No, I'm saying.
I mean, was there a conversation that you had with somebody? You said, look, I'm unhappy with the Times. They should either be buying the subscription, or I don't like their content, or whatever.
Any organization that refuses to buy a subscription is not going to be recommended.
But then, what does that say about free speech? And what does that say about amplifying
free speech
certain
is not exactly
voices?
Free. It costs a little bit.
Oh God, this entire conversation, dude. Yeah, Democrats, the left has always been pro free speech, but now conservatives are the ones who are most pro free speech, and they all support me. But what about when you're throttling free speech of a company. Well, if they want free speech, they should pay for it. He's like God, he can't even see. He can't even understand, dude. Oh yeah, Noctob, Elon Musk was like so upset that ChatGPT wouldn't say slurs that, like, I'm half convinced he launched his own AI Grok just so that he could have an AI that says slurs.
Right, but that's an interesting.
You know, it's like in South Park where they say, you know, freedom isn't free; it costs $1.05 or whatever. But it's pretty cheap. Okay, it's low cost freedom.
I got a couple more questions for you. You're headed back to Texas after this to launch the Cybertruck.
Yeah,
it's going to be a big launch. But I wanted to ask you right now, more broadly, just about the car business and what you see actually happening, and specifically, the government put in place lots of policies, as you know, to try to encourage more EVs. And one of the things that's happened uniquely is you have now a lot of car companies saying, actually, this is too ambitious for us. These plans are too ambitious. 4,000 dealers, I don't know if you saw just yesterday, sent a letter to the White House saying, this has gone too far. You're going too far. You had this
anti-EV.
This is going too fast, too far, and that there's not enough demand. Underneath all of this is this idea that maybe there's not enough demand for EVs, that the American public has not bought into they bought into with your company, but they haven't bought into.
I mean, the issue with EVs is that you can't get a used one for like $2,000. You know, like you can't get a used EV for like $3,000 or $4,000. Like, I think most people would like electric vehicles, but it, like, for fuck's sake, we can barely afford like our rent. Like, the cost difference downstream is really gonna matter.
Into it broadly enough.
Well, I think if you make a compelling electric car, people will buy it, no question about it. I mean, electric car sales in China are gigantic. That's by far the biggest category.
Right.
And I think that would be the case, you know. I mean, it's worth noting, okay, so probably the best refutation of that is that the Tesla Model Y will be the best-selling car of any kind on Earth this year. Of any kind, gasoline or otherwise.
Is there another car company?
I think you can sell electric vehicles to people on the basis like even if it takes a while to charge them up, right? Like, most people aren't spending the majority of their time driving. If they have infrastructure in their homes or in, like, you know, the parking garages or wherever they park their vehicle at night, if there's infrastructure that facilitates charging overnight, I think EVs become very palatable. Now, not every place has that yet, but I think we're maybe moving closer towards that. We'll see.
Company that you think is doing a good job with EVs?
I mean, I think the Chinese car companies are extremely competitive. By far, our toughest competition is in China. So, I mean, there's a lot of people who out there who think like the top 10 car companies is going to be Tesla, followed by 9 Chinese car companies. I think they might not be wrong. So, China is super good at manufacturing, and the work ethic is incredible. So, you know, like if we consider different leagues of competitiveness at Tesla, we consider the Chinese league to be the most competitive. And by the way, we do very well in China because our China team is the best China.
How worried are you that the unionization effort that just took place I shouldn't say effort, but the new wages and the like at GM and Ford that they're coming for you? And they are coming for you. What is that going to mean to you and your business?
Well, I mean, I think it's generally not good to have an adversarial relationship between people on the line, you know, one group at the company and another group. In fact, I mean, I disagree with the idea of unions but perhaps for a reason that is different than people may expect, which is
Uh-huh.
I just don't like anything which creates kind of a lords and peasants sort of thing. And
That's literally the opposite of having a union. What do you think? What do you think having a boss is in a typical privately owned company, my guy? You have a lord who tells you what to do, and you have a peasant who, if they don't do it, gets fired. You're literally a billionaire.
And I think the unions naturally try to create negativity in a company and create a kind of sort of lords and peasants situation. There are many people at Tesla who have gone from working on the line to being in senior management. There is no
I'm
lords
sure.
and peasants. Everyone eats at the same table. Everyone parks in the same parking lot. You know, at GM, there's a special elevator only for senior executives.
Yep. That's what's really important. The perks that you get on the job, not the actual power dynamics.
You have no such thing at Tesla. You know, and the thing is that I actually know the people on the line because I worked on the line and I walked the line and I slept in the factory and I worked.
You don't work the line, you dipshit. You lying cosplayer. You don't work the line.
Beside them. So I'm no stranger to them. And there are actually many times where I've said, well, can't we just hold a union vote? But apparently a company is not allowed to hold a union vote.
Yeah, I wonder why a company wouldn't be allowed to say, hey, everybody here who wants to form a union, we will be taking down your names. No reason, definitely no retaliation that is going to occur because of this.
So it has to be somehow called for, but the unions can't do it. So I said, we'll just hold a vote and see what happens. The actual problem is the opposite. It's not that people are trapped at Tesla building cars. The challenge is how do we retain great people to do the hard work of building cars when they have like 6 other opportunities that they can do that are easier. That's the actual difficulty, is that building cars is hard work and there are much easier jobs. And I just want to say that I'm incredibly appreciative of those who build cars, and they know it.
Is he about to cry?
You know, so there's I don't know, maybe there will be unionized. If I say, like, if Tesla gets unionized, it will be because we deserve it and we failed in some way. But we certainly try hard to, you know, ensure the prosperity of everyone. We give everyone stock options. We've made many people who are just working the line, who didn't even know what stocks were, we've made them millionaires. So
we're going to run out of time. Final couple quick questions. When do you have the time to tweet or to post? I actually think about it all the time. As I said,
well,
I use
the
it.
bathroom sometimes.
I use it all the time. Meaning, if we were to open up our phones and look at the screen time, what does yours look like?
Well, about every 3 hours, I make a trip to the lavatory.
And that's the only time you do this? Seems like you're on there a lot.
No, I mean, there'll be like brief moments between meetings. I mean, it's not, obviously I have like 17 jobs, so, you know, and no, I guess technically it's work at this point.
It is, but I'm thinking just in terms of your mind share. I mean, by the way, there's a lot of people who should be working who are on this app.
Technically, posting on Twitter or X is work. It does count as work. So that's, you know, there's that. But no, I mean, I think I'm on. Well, I guess usually probably I'm on for longer than I think I am.
But I know, but do you think that's 5 hours a day, 4 hours?
If you look at the screen time of like number of hours per week, sometimes that's a scary number. It's probably, I don't know, it's a little over an hour a day or something like that.
Just an hour a day?
Uh-huh.
If we really looked at this together,
Liar.
do you have your phone with you?
Yeah?
You want to look?
Okay.
Oh,
Okay,
this
here we
is
go.
embarrassing, dude.
You ready? Screen time. Hit general.
Screen time. Sometimes this is a scary number, but
I know. That's why I thought.
I just got a new phone, so I think this is not accurate because it says it's 1 minute. Pretty sure it's more than that. Wait, it's over the week. Ah, there we go.
Yeah, go.
How is it that you do not find yourself dead, Grion? You have rare luck indeed. Let our swords meet. The cry of their steel is fitting lament for those you have butchered.
Go to the week.
Oh, okay, so it's still wrong. It's more than 4 minutes. I just got a new phone, so this is not accurate. It literally says 4 minutes.
New phone. Tim Cook sent you that phone?
New phone, who does? You know.
I should ask, by the way, because I just mentioned Tim Cook. Do you feel like you're going to have a battle with him eventually? Is that the next fight?
I mean,
over the App Store.
The idea of making a phone. Oh, phone. Oh, you mean like?
No.
App Store?
Over the App Store. Would you ever make a phone? Sam Altman's apparently thinking about making a phone with Johnny Ive.
I mean, I don't think there's a real need to make a phone. I mean, if there's a essential need to make a phone, I'll make a phone, but I got a lot of fish to fry. So, I mean, I do think there's a fundamental challenge that phone makers have at this point because you've got basically a black rectangle. You know, how do you make that better?
So do you want to do that? What does that look like in Elon's head?
No, that's literally, yeah, good phrase. In the head, Neuralink.
Well, there we go. We need to touch that before it's over.
You know, the best interface would be a neural interface directly to your brain. So that would be a Neuralink.
How far are we, do you think, from that, and how excited or scary does that seem to be? I mean, read these headlines, obviously, about monkeys who died, as you know. What should we think about that?
Yeah, actually, this is the USDA inspector who came by the Neuralink facilities literally said in her entire career she has never seen a better animal care facility. We are the nicest to animals that you could possibly be, even to the rats and mice, even though they did the plague and everything.
Yeah.
So it is like monkey paradise. So the thing that gets
literally everything he says, everything out of his mouth is like lies. It's wild, dude. Be right back.
It is that they.
I'm back, y'all. I'm back, y'all. Scatter, what have you all been doing? What, were you guys plotting and scheming? I see VCC TV running. I see you! I can't hear. I'm in ad world. Oh, okay. It couldn't possibly have been VCC TV. It couldn't possibly have been VCC TV because the person I saw was in riverboat.gg chat. Hey, Malachi.
There were some terminal monkeys where, this is actually...
Jesus, I know that I just came back and I just played like less than a second of audio, but I do love him just starting out a statement. There were some terminal monkeys while talking about the monkeys that died due to his experimentation.
Actually several years ago, where the monkeys were about to die, and we're like, okay, we've got an experimental device. It's the kind of thing we should only put in a monkey that's about to die. And then, now the monkey died, but it didn't die because of the Neuralink. It died because it was had a terminal case of cancer or something like that. So,
yeah.
Neuralink has
that
never
all checks
reported
out for sure. Yeah.
It's the best. Unless they're hiding something from me, it has never caused death of a monkey. And in fact, we've now had monkeys with Neuralink implants for like 2-3 years, and they're doing great. So, and we've even replaced the Neuralink twice.
In fact, the monkeys are even asking us for more Neuralink implants.
And we're getting ready to do the first implants hopefully in a few months. The early implementations of Neuralink, I think, are unequivocally good. Speaking of the double-edged sword, I think these early implementations are single-edged sword, because the first implementations will be to enable people who have lost the brain-body connection to be able to operate a computer or a phone faster than someone who has hands that work. So you can imagine if Stephen Hawking could communicate faster than someone who had full body functionality, how incredible that would be. Well, that's what this device will do. And we should have proof of that in a human, hopefully in a few months. It already works in monkeys and works quite well with monkeys that can play video games just by thinking.
Oh shit, that explains why so many people are better at me in multiplayer games online. They're all super monkeys.
So, and the next application after the sort of those, dealing with tetraplegics and quadriplegics is going to be vision. Vision is the next thing. So it's like if somebody has lost both eyes or the optic nerve has failed, basically where they have no possibility of having sort of some ocular correction, that will be the next thing for Neuralink, is a direct vision interface. And in fact, then you could be like Geordi LaForge from Star Trek. You could see in like any frequency, actually. You could see in radar if you want.
Two final questions, and then
we're... that's so cool, dog. It's gonna be like Star Trek. For sure, bro.
We're going to end this conversation, which I think has taken everybody inside the mind of Elon Musk today.
Not as well as Neuralink will,
Ha-ha!
It actually goes to self-driving cars and vision and everything else. And I asked this question of Pete Buttigieg, Transportation Secretary. It's actually something you retweeted, so I wanted to ask you the same question. There's a big question about autonomous vehicles and the safety of them. But there's also a question about when it will be politically palatable in this country for people to die in cars that are controlled by...
No, just end the sentence there. When will it be possible for people to die in cars? I want to know.
Computers, which is, say, we have 40,000 deaths every year in this country.
Yeah.
If you could bring that number down to 10,000, 5,000, that might be a great thing. But do we think that the country will accept the idea that 5,000 people, that your family might have perished in a vehicle as a result not of a human making a mistake, but of a computer?
Yes. Well, first of all,
Well, the manufacturers of the computer would have liability in that case. Like you can't just be like, "Oh, would a computer kill people?" Like obviously, yeah, computers can be programmed to kill people. But then the responsibility of that is on the people who made the computer and programmed it to have that failure.
well, humans are terrible drivers. So people text and drive, they drink and drive, they get into arguments, they they do all sorts of things in cars that they should not do. So it's actually remarkable that there are not more deaths than there are. What we'll find with computer driving is, I think, probably an order of magnitude reduction in deaths. I think, and the U.S. has actually far fewer deaths per capita than the rest of the world. If you go worldwide, I think there's something close to 1 million deaths per year due to automotive accidents. So I think computer driving will probably drop that by 90% or more. It won't be perfect, but it'll
I
be
saw what you
10
said,
times
John
better.
Do you think
Binary,
that the
that's
public
great.
will accept that? Do you think the government will accept that?
Well, in large numbers, it will simply be so obviously true that it really cannot be denied.
And what do you think? I know we've talked about the timeline before, and I know people have criticized you for putting out timelines that may not have come true just yet. But what do you think it really is? And by the way, do you ever say to yourself, "Oh, I shouldn't have said that"?
Sure, of course. Wait, I should have said that. Yeah, I'm optimistic about. I think I'm like naturally optimistic about timescales, and if I was not naturally optimistic, I wouldn't be doing the things that I'm doing. I certainly wouldn't have started a rocket company or a car company if I didn't have some sort of pathological optimism, frankly. As you pointed out, many people said they would fail, and in fact, I agreed with them. I said, yes, it probably will fail. And they're like, okay. But I thought SpaceX and Tesla had less than a 10% chance of success when we started them. Yeah, anyway, but the self-driving thing is I've been optimistic about it. We've certainly made a lot of progress. If anybody has tried has been using the sort of full self-driving beta, the progress is, every year has been substantial. It's really now at the point where, in most places, it'll take you from one place to another with no interventions.
This is absolutely not true, by the way. I saw like a full autopilot test drive just like, I don't know, like a week or two ago, and like it ran through like 3 or 4 stoplights in like 1 5-minute ride.
And the data is unequivocal that supervised full self-driving is somewhere around 4 times safer, or maybe more, than just human driving by themselves. So I can certainly see it coming. Actually, really.
But do you think it's another 5 or 10 years? I mean, people say.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
And do you feel like investors have invested in something that hasn't happened yet? Is that fair to them? And that's the other question that people have about that.
Well, I mean, I think they've all, with rare exception, thought it wasn't happening. So they were investing despite thinking. They're very clear that they don't think it's real. So they're not saying, oh, we just believe everything Elon says, hook, line, and sinker. But the thing is that, it would be a fair criticism of me to say that I'm late, but it isn't. But I always deliver in the end.
Let me ask you a final question. I took note of this.
More men. We needed more.
Something, thirsty trans ladies. We did murders! Da-da-da-da! God, the Cybertruck looks so bad, guys. It looks so bad.
It was November 11th, and you took to Twitter and you wrote only 2 words. You said, amplify empathy.
Right.
I was taken aback by that, given all the things that have been going on in the world. Do you remember what you were thinking?
Well, I think it's quite literally.
I understand it, but what was going on? Why did you write that?
Well, I was encouraging people to amplify empathy. Literally. I tend to be quite literal.
But was there something that had happened that you had seen that you said to yourself, I want to say that?
I think I was talking to some friends, and we all agreed that we should try to amplify empathy, and so I wrote amplify empathy.
If you wanted an unvarnished look inside the mind of Elon Musk, I think you just saw it.
Look, sometimes it's pretty simple, you know.
Elon Musk, thank you very, very much for the conversation.
All right, thank you.
Appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Here, take that with you for a second.
God.
I'm just going to say thank you to everybody who stuck around for what has been a remarkable day. We are so appreciative of everybody who has been with us for so many years, coming back to this every year. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you had a great day, and I hope we have an opportunity to do this again. Elon Musk, everybody, thank you.
Politics. Uh-huh. So what can we really take away from that? Like, Elon Musk is not in a good spot. Like, everything he has personally involved himself in has been failing. And I think it's pretty clear that it's taking a toll on him. Like, to, like, armchair psychology, like, slightly. I think that this is a guy who has had all of his investments throughout, like, his early life go extraordinarily well, propelling him to becoming one of the wealthiest people on the planet through, frankly, flukes of luck and just, you know, the average wealthy dipshit social networking that people do at high levels, you know? And now that he's actually trying to apply himself to do things, and it's just imploding. It's imploding spectacularly. And it's just failure after failure of him actually trying to apply himself, and he knows that. And he knows it, and it's just eating him up inside. You know? That was a live therapy session we just watched, and it was wildly incoherent. God damn. Insane. That's what we call a segment, I guess. Yo, if any of us were Elon Musk, we would be like, what do we even do with $1 billion? Dude has like 40 plus billion. You know? Like, just if you want to make like a space company, go for it, dude. But you don't gotta do like 20 other things. Just put like, you know, $50 billion into exploring space and like mining asteroids or something. You know, like, you could have done anything. And he's just decided to be like an absolute dipshit. Oh, Gabriel Cook, over in YouTube chat, $1 million donos to Riverboat Jack. True. If you all were billionaires, I know you'd all donate $1 million to riverboat.gg. Literally changed my life overnight.